Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Got something a little bit more different for you today, something I haven't featured on the channel before. The Jagdtiger. This is a battle rating 7.0, tier 5 tank destroyer. Interesting fact actually, the Tiger that we have in the Jagdtiger that we have in War Thunder isn't strictly speaking an accurate representation of the actual tank in real life. The gun is different. Now, yes, it was designed to use the 128mm gun, the same as what the Mouse has. However, due to the issues that Germany had as far as resources were concerned at the end of the war, most Jagdtigers ended up being equipped with a long 88, which the Tiger II had. Of course, this is not really a possible thing to have in War Thunder, because given the tank's armor, the lower penetration on the 88mm gun would mean that it needs to be at a lower battle rating, but due to the armor, chances are it would be overpowered, and even then you'd probably get up-tiered most of the time. So tanks would just be firing heat at you anyway, like the M46, which is currently at 7.0. So, my Jagdtiger, as you can tell, hasn't got the fire extinguishers on it, it hasn't got parts, it hasn't got anything, really. There's a reason for this. When I was grinding through the German tech tree, I basically skipped this tank. I ground through it, didn't play it, I just bought it, didn't bother crewing it, and went straight to the Hanomag Henschel 4-5, which, by the way, I don't particularly like either. So yeah, that's my history with this tank. I've been playing it more recently because 6.7 Germans tend to get up-tiered most of the time, whereas 7.0, at least from my experience, you end up playing at your tier the majority of the time. Even when I was recording these matches, there was about 23,000 people on, which is quite low. I mean, the highest I've seen recently is 60,000, but that's usually in the afternoons when people are off work or kids are home from school and what have you. So that makes perfect sense. The fewer people there are on the matchmaker, the fewer chances there is of you getting up-tiered. Chances are you'll probably get down-tiered most of the time, or get your tier. At its tier, the armor on the Jagdtiger, I'm going to keep messing that up, aren't I? The armor on the Jagdtiger is very impressive. The upper casement armor is incredibly strong. The hull armor is the same as the Tiger II, but if you angle it, you'll bounce a lot of shots. The only main issue you have is, as I mentioned earlier, the M46 with its new heat shell. And British tanks with their Sabo can punch straight through your upper casement, assuming they hit in the right place. There is a way of dealing with this, however, something wonderful that a lot of people haven't heard of, called armor angling. I can English, I swear. Yes, angle armoring. If you angle this tank at a reasonable angle when something is shooting at you, which you'll see me do later. Not necessarily in this clip, but in the next clip there's a very good example. If you angle the armor, most tanks will bounce. If they're firing anything other than Sabo or heat at you, they will bounce. Alright? This works very well until you realise that this tank is not very mobile. I'm going over slightly bumpy terrain here, and the most I can muster is 25 kilometers an hour. This is fairly usual terrain for War Thunder maps, with the exception of city maps, which I'll get onto in a minute. The tank doesn't traverse particularly well on the spot, although if you're driving forward and traversing it does turn slightly better. I've found that it tends to traverse better when reversing though than it does driving forward, as we can see there. Just going around that small corner really did slow me down. Every tank has its upsides and downsides. The Jagdtiger has brilliant armor, a decent gun, although it's aiming it is quite difficult. I'm not used to the 128mm because I don't have the Mouse. I've no desire to get it really. And it's not necessarily low velocity, but you have to give quite a lot of lead to hit your targets. So can you see the smoke over there on the right? The exhaust smoke? That is an M46. The bane of my life in this tank, so I take great pleasure in putting a shell straight through the back of his turret. The explosive thriller on this shell ensures that his entire crew gets knocked out in one shot. Fantastic. Quite happy with that. I take a bounce off my engine deck, and I can see the smoke from behind me, so I know that it's on its way here, whatever it is, but I couldn't quite make it out through the smoke at the time. So I keep driving forward. I'm going to turn around, hide behind these, whatever the hell that is, concrete pillars. Rotate the hull as quickly as I possibly can. And get ready for him to come while I cap. The pole that you can see on the back of the engine deck there is, I thought when I first started playing this game, because I was quite a bit younger, this was like 5 years ago or so, and naive, I thought that was an antenna. It's not. It's actually a mounting point for a machine gun, an MG34 or an MG42. Here comes a tank that was shooting at me, an FV4202. It's a British tank, which means chances are it's firing Sabre, although because of the angle he bounces. I take the opportunity, pull the trigger, straight through his frontal plate, no messing whatsoever. Shell goes straight through and the shrapnel comes out the other side. So, that's that game. Let's move on to the next one. So this game is on the Mozdok map. This is one of my favourite maps in the game. One of the oldest maps in the game, with the exception of... what's the name of the map? Corellia, that's the one. This video clip is shorter. I did cut down the first clip quite substantially because, like I said, the Jagdtiger is quite slow, not very mobile, and the majority of that clip was me just driving around. Although it does demonstrate the immobility of this tank. The engagement that I had in the first clip was at close range. The engagements that I have in this clip, however, are going to be at long range because I want to demonstrate the armour effectiveness on this tank destroyer. Being outflanked is a serious issue on city maps, so driving this tank, it's best being driven in wide open maps like this. You can push or you can stay at the back and snipe. This depends who you're facing and what battle rating you get. If you get your tier, or lower, which is unlikely, but it can happen. And you see the low velocity of the shell there, that was way off. If you get your tier or lower, then it's quite easy to use the armour to take the shots and play the tank that way. If you get up tiers to 8.0, which again is quite likely, although I haven't experienced it too much, thankfully, in the time I was recording footage for this video. Yeah, staying at the back and sniping is most definitely a better option. So there's at least 3 tanks over there that have my attention. I'm going to angle the hull, which in turn angles the upper casement. I get my tracks knocked off. That's not an issue. Most of the points that you get in this tank are from not only dealing damage, but from absorbing it. There's one shot. Let's count them as they come in, shall we? There's a second, a third, and a fourth. Got 18 seconds on the repair left. They're going to keep shooting at me for a minute, but they will get bored. There's the fifth. Five seconds left on the repair. Anybody else fancy taking a punt at me? No, they gave up. So that's 5 shots blocked by armour. My tracks are back up. And I don't know what was happening here. My gun didn't want to elevate, so I tried driving forward a bit. It does eventually sort itself out, but I think it may have been just a bit of a glitch or something. Try and get the aim in. Take another bounce there, one from the left, one from the right, that's 7 in total. If that shell had been elevated slightly higher, I probably would have killed that tank, but unfortunately I messed up and missed. Tank to my left. I'm not so concerned about the tanks in front of me now, I want to know where that tank is. There he is, over there by the big rock behind the trees. I angle my armour, he takes another shot but misses. But my reload's up. Quite a long reload on this gun. But for a 7.0 with a 128mm, you can't expect much. That was one hell of a lucky shot. Straight through the gun mantlet of an M46 at that kind of range was definitely more luck than judgment. By the way, before we wrap this video up, because I will get taken out in a minute, spoilers, I got cocky and decided to drive forward. But I've halved the clip volume compared to the previous videos, so let me know if I'm easier to hear, if the clip's too loud still or too quiet. You know, I'm still trying to get this editing thing down. I hope you enjoyed this video anyway. It wasn't very exciting, but the Jagdtiger is something like not many people feature anymore. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Please like, dislike, subscribe, what have you. It really helps out the channel. And let me know what you think in the comments. Cheers!